Many have heard the phrase, "Many are called, but few are chosen," Matthew 22:14. Yet few pause to deeply reflect on what it truly means. Being called is hearing God's voice, feeling that divine invitation that resonates in the soul. But being chosen goes further. It means answering the call, responding with faith, and aligning oneself with the purpose God has laid out for your life. It's not about merit or human effort, but about a willing heart and a life surrendered to the divine. From an early age, the chosen ones feel different. It's not a sense of superiority, but a subtle weight, a responsibility that others don't seem to carry. Perhaps you felt this way, as if something greater has been waiting for you. That weight isn't a burden, but a constant reminder that your life isn't random. Every step, every difficulty, and every victory aligns with a greater purpose that, though often invisible, is profoundly real. But why are some chosen while others seem to live ordinary lives without this sense of mission? The answer lies in willingness. God doesn't force anyone into his plan. Those who are chosen are the ones who, upon hearing the call, open their hearts and say, "Here I am, send me," Isaiah 6:8. This response requires courage, for the path of the chosen is not easy. It's a path filled with challenges, but also spiritual rewards that the world cannot offer. Now pause for a moment and ask yourself, how have you responded to God's call? Have you ignored the signs, or are you ready to embrace your divine mission? Knowing you are chosen is only the beginning. The real challenge is living as such, protecting your essence, and fulfilling the purpose assigned to you. But this requires more than strength. It requires discernment, wisdom, and above all, spiritual protection, something we'll explore more deeply in the next point. The secret of spiritual protection: guarding your gifts from the world. The journey of the chosen is marked by a constant tension between what is experienced in the physical realm and what is carried in the spiritual. Your gifts are not ordinary, and therefore, they cannot be treated lightly. Just as a precious treasure is kept in a safe, your revelations, your energy, and your spiritual insights need to be protected from the world, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. There's a crucial difference between sharing to edify and exposing yourself recklessly. Jesus warned, "Do not give what is holy to dogs, nor cast your pearls before swine," Matthew 7:6. This doesn't mean arrogance, but an understanding that certain truths can only be comprehended by those who are ready. Revealing deep insights or vulnerabilities to those who are not in tune with you can lead to misunderstanding, judgment, or even spiritual attack. Imagine yourself as a gardener. You wouldn't plant precious seeds in barren soil, would you? In the same way, the spiritual truths God entrusts to you should not be cast onto unprepared ground. Guard your insights as one guards a jewel, waiting for the right moment and the right person to share them. Wisdom lies in discerning where and when your words will be seeds of growth and not targets of destruction. To protect your gifts, you need to cultivate silence and discretion. This doesn't mean isolating yourself completely, but learning to speak only when guided by the Spirit. Before sharing something profound, ask yourself, will this build someone up? Or will it merely satisfy someone else's curiosity? By guarding what is sacred, you not only protect yourself, but also strengthen your connection with God. And it is that connection that ultimately will keep you steadfast in your mission. The power of discernment, identifying who is on your side. On the path of the chosen, discernment isn't just a virtue, it's a vital necessity. The spiritual journey is filled with encounters with all kinds of people. Some will be precious allies, while others will try to divert you from your mission. That's why it's crucial to know who is truly on your side and who might pose a danger, even subtly. Discernment is more than judgment. It's seeing beyond words and appearances. Often those who get closest to you may not be driven by pure intentions. Some are attracted to your light, but only to try and extinguish it. These are the energy thieves who drain your strength with negativity or incessant demands. Others may serve as distractions, diverting your attention from what truly matters. Jesus was a perfect example of discernment in his relationships. He chose 12 disciples but invested more deeply in only 3, Peter, James, and John. He knew that not everyone could understand the depth of his mission. The same applies to you. It's not necessary to cut ties with everyone who doesn't share your vision, but rather to establish clear boundaries. Learning to say no when something or someone doesn't contribute to your journey is an act of wisdom. To strengthen discernment, ask for divine guidance in your prayers. God always sends signs, a discomfort in your soul, a quiet intuition, or even revealing circumstances. Trust them. Remember, your mission is sacred, and those who walk alongside you must be aligned with that purpose. In the next step, we'll explore how Jesus himself demonstrated this wisdom in his walk. The wisdom of Jesus, the Master's example on the path of the chosen. When it comes to discernment, spiritual protection, and divine purpose, no one exemplifies these virtues better than Jesus. He is the perfect model for the chosen, showing how to fulfill a divine mission amidst challenges, betrayals, and pressures. Every step of his journey is filled with lessons for those seeking to walk a deeply spiritual path. Jesus always knew when and how to act. Take, for example, his choice to seek solitude. He often withdrew to pray, even during moments of great agitation. Luke 5:16 tells us that he withdrew to lonely places and prayed. This practice wasn't escapism but renewal. He understood that spiritual strength comes from constant connection with the Father. As a chosen one, you too must set aside time for this kind of connection, especially when the world's demands feel overwhelming. Another clear example of Jesus' wisdom is in his selection of disciples. He knew Judas would betray him but allowed it to happen because it was part of a greater plan. This teaches us that not everyone in our circle is there to help. Some are there to teach us lessons. Jesus didn't react with hatred or resentment, but with a deep understanding of his purpose and divine sovereignty. Learning from this example is essential to avoid letting wounds derail your mission. Moreover, Jesus used his words with wisdom. He knew when to speak in parables so that only those spiritually prepared would understand. Not everyone was ready for the full truth. This reminds us of the importance of guarding our words and sharing only what the Spirit guides us to reveal. Your mission is unique, and not everyone will comprehend your motivations or visions, and that's okay. Following Jesus' example doesn't mean imitating everything literally, but adopting the principles he left us. Constant prayer, wisdom in relationships, and discernment about what, when, and how to speak. Now, we'll see how to balance the spiritual and the earthly without losing sight of your mission. Balancing mission and life, the challenge of living in the world without belonging to it. Living as a chosen one means inhabiting two worlds simultaneously, the physical and the spiritual. On one side, there are daily responsibilities, work, family, relationships, and on the other, there's a higher calling that demands attention and dedication. Balancing these two aspects is one of the greatest challenges, but it's also an essential skill for anyone who wants to fulfill their mission without losing direction. Jesus showed us how to live in the world without being consumed by it. Although he lived among people attending dinners, helping the needy, and even turning water into wine at a wedding, he never lost sight of the greater purpose. The same applies to you. Being in the world doesn't mean living as the world does. It's possible to be a light in the darkness without allowing that darkness to dim your flame. One of the secrets to this balance is prioritization. If you are called to a divine mission, you need to set aside time to nurture your spiritual life. This might include prayer, reading the Bible, or moments of silence and reflection. For example, dedicating the first moments of your day to God can completely transform your perspective on daily challenges. When spirituality is your foundation, all other areas of life align more easily. On the other hand, balance also requires recognizing the limits of what you can do. You weren't called to save the world alone. That's God's task. Your responsibility is to fulfill your part without overburdening yourself. This might mean saying no to commitments that drain your energy or setting boundaries in relationships that don't contribute to your journey. It's an act of wisdom, not selfishness. Maintaining this balance is like walking a tightrope. It requires attention, practice, and above all, dependence on the divine. In the next point, we'll explore the transformative power of silence and how it can be your greatest defense and strength. The power of silence, knowing when to speak and when to stay quiet. In a world where most shout to be heard, the chosen are called to value silence. Silence, often underestimated, is a powerful weapon that protects, strengthens, and connects. It's not about avoiding communication, but about knowing when to speak and, more importantly, when to remain quiet. After all, not every battle needs to be fought with words. Jesus, once again, gives us the perfect example. When accused before Pilate, he chose to remain silent. Matthew 27:14. Why? Because he knew his words wouldn't be understood at that moment and that his mission didn't depend on explanations. As a chosen one, you will often be misunderstood, questioned, or even challenged. Responding to everything isn't your obligation. In some situations, silence is the greatest shield against unnecessary attacks. Silence is also a tool for reflection and wisdom. It allows you to observe, discern, and understand before acting. In moments of conflict, for example, a silent pause can prevent words spoken in the heat of emotion that might cause irreversible harm. Think about everyday situations. Have you noticed how a silent response can disarm someone expecting an explosive reaction? This type of self-control isn't weakness, it's strength. Furthermore, silence creates space for God's voice. When your mind is full of noise, worries, opinions, distractions, it's hard to hear divine direction. Dedicating moments of daily silence, whether in prayer or meditation, allows you to align with the greater plan. Like a still lake reflecting the sky with clarity, your soul, in silence, reflects God's will with precision. Silence isn't the absence of action. It's wisdom in motion. Knowing when to speak and when to stay silent is a skill that not only protects your energy, but also amplifies your spiritual influence. In the next topic, we'll see how this wisdom is fortified by unshakable faith that sustains the chosen in all moments. The role of unshakable faith in the path of the chosen. Faith is the central pillar that sustains the journey of the chosen. No matter how arduous the challenges or heavy the burdens, faith keeps your feet firmly on the path. Not a superficial faith, but an unshakable trust that God is present in every step, even when circumstances suggest otherwise. This faith isn't just a feeling, it's a daily choice to trust in the divine plan. The chosen face unique tests, and it's in these trials that their faith is refined. Consider Abraham, called to sacrifice his son Isaac, or Moses, leading a rebellious people through the desert. In both cases, faith sustained them. Similarly, your faith is what enables you to resist doubt, fear, and opposition. Have you ever wondered how certain challenges have shaped your life? Often it's these moments that strengthen your connection with God. Cultivating this faith requires effort. It doesn't simply appear. It is built through consistent practices. Prayer is essential. But it shouldn't just be a plea for help. It should be an intimate conversation with God, where you surrender your anxieties and seek guidance. Reading Scripture also strengthens faith, offering examples and promises that renew your hope. Memorizing verses like, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me," Philippians 4:13, can anchor you in moments of doubt. Finally, remember that unshakable faith doesn't mean the absence of questions. Even Jesus cried out on the cross, "My God, why have you forsaken me?" Matthew 27:46. The difference is in not allowing questions to destroy your trust in the greater plan. Faith is moving forward even when the vision is blurry, believing that God will illuminate the next step. In the next topic, we'll conclude by reflecting on how to walk with authority and wisdom in your divine purpose. Walking with authority and wisdom in your divine purpose. Reaching this point means understanding that being chosen is far more than a title. It's a responsibility. It's not about living an easy life, but about living a meaningful one. Walking with authority in your divine purpose requires the courage to protect your essence, the wisdom to discern the right moments to act, and the faith to trust the unseen. This is how the chosen not only survive, but spiritually thrive amidst challenges. Spiritual authority is not something you impose, it's something you live. It comes from a genuine connection with God, nurtured through prayer, silence, and obedience. When you understand that your mission is not yours but His, your perspective changes. You set aside the fear of failure because you know you're not walking alone. This allows you to face attacks, criticisms, and even periods of apparent solitude with the peace of knowing you're on the right path. Wisdom is equally crucial to staying grounded on this path. Knowing when to advance, when to wait, and when to retreat is a gift that God gives to those who seek Him. Look to the Scriptures and see how great leaders like David and Esther used discernment to fulfill their purposes. Similarly, you must seek this wisdom daily, asking God to guide your decisions and clarify your vision. Finally, walking with authority and wisdom means impacting the world around you without allowing it to shape you. Your light is not just for yourself. It's meant to illuminate other paths, even if that means walking yours in the midst of darkness. You weren't chosen to hide, but to be a living witness to God's power. Now, the decision is yours. How will you use all that you've learned to fully live out the purpose entrusted to you? Do you feel like you're fully living as a chosen one? Are you protecting your essence, listening to the divine voice, and impacting the world around you? If the answer is no, or not yet, don't despair. This journey is a process, and you're on the right path simply by seeking understanding. Now, a challenge. What would your life look like if you applied just one of the principles discussed today? How might protecting your energy, prioritizing your connection with God, or practicing silence transform not only your spirituality but also your relationships and inner peace? Try putting these lessons into practice and see the impact. Finally, remember that you are not alone.